feel like relationships are already as like hard in general.
Yeah.
And then adding the long distance thing with the trust, like,
yeah,
I feel like is another element to it.
there are people that have jobs. I mean, think about people in the military. You know, like there are people that do it. That
Talking about that, how many times do people in the military get cheated on?
I'm not saying that they don't.
So like, you know,
But
so
people who live
that's what I'm
together
saying.
get cheated on, you know, so you can't, I mean, it goes both ways.
Long distance relationship, and do they really work? That was the next question. That is one of the top 5 most searched on Google. In my opinion, from my personal experience, I don't think long distance relationship work. And that's because it didn't for me. That doesn't mean it can't for somebody else. It has to do with a trust thing. And then at a certain point, there's going to be the time that you want to do things with somebody and you can't because they're not there. Now, I understand if that person is in school or, you know, like, for example, like we're married, we've been living together. And let's say I have to get a job that I have to go out of work for like a week. I think a week max will be the most that I could like be away and not come, you know, like, and not be home every night. Especially, you know, with like the kind of job that I do. But I wouldn't want to leave my wife for like weeks at a time and then come back like a month later to spend 2 or 3 days with her and then just go again. Like, I can't do that. If we can't be together, you know, like all the time for the most part, then, you know, like I don't want to be with that person because obviously you want to build memories with that person. And I don't know, just shit happens when you're far away, you know, that is out of your control. Like they, you know, some motherfucker will come like get into your head, or same thing with the guy, you know, like he'll just start being too friendly with somebody else over there.
So first I'm going to say, I think I'm going to look at this as people that are just dating, not
Okay.
people that are married. Cause I feel like that's a kind of like a little bit different of a level of like relationship. Obviously you're not just going to like break up with like someone you're married to. So I'm specifically referring to like long distance dating. I think it takes a very specific type of couple to make long distance work. I think it has to be the right scenarios and the right situation. From experience, long distance has not worked for me. It did not end well. I got cheated on while I was in a long distance relationship. So, yeah, in my opinion, long distance is very, very tough. I think that if you're going to try long distance, I think a couple of things need to be true in order for it to end up working out. I think you need to already have a very stable, loving, healthy relationship already in place. I'm not saying it's impossible to do long distance. I think if you start out with that already, I think you're at least on the right foot, you know, like you're saying, if we needed to do it where we were apart for a week at a time, we could make it work. You know, I have no doubt that like we would do it if we absolutely had to, if that what was right for us and our family at the time, then we could do it. I also think it's important that there's some sort of like light at the end of the tunnel. Is it indefinite? Is there like no timeline? Is there no, you know, like hope of like when it's gonna end? If you're doing it, like you said, for school or something that has an end in sight, you know, like you're saying, we have to do long distance for the next 2 years while I get my master's or while I finish up whatever, like while I, you know, I'm a doctor, I'm doing my residency somewhere and it's only for this amount of time. I think that's different. I think if you're working towards a goal and you can see that light at the end of the tunnel and y'all can work together to get there, I think it's possible.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if the two of you are on the same page from the beginning, you already have that, like I said, super strong, healthy relationship. You are great communicators already, and you have kind of an end date to when you won't have to be long distance anymore. I think those things could work. I think if you're going to be long distance, I think it's important to, you know, decide what's the longest we're going to go without seeing each other. You know, like we're not just going to indefinitely not know, like, hey, see you later, like, we'll figure out another time to see each other, you know. I think it's important to have, like, already specific dates set for, like, when the next time is you see each other. You already have that trip booked or that flight booked or whatever it is, like, to see each other. Or you say, you know, like, we're never going to go more than X amount of time without seeing each other, at least. And you stick to those, like, plans and goals. Because you do need to see each other to make it work.
Yeah. I feel like in my personal opinion, I feel like if you go more than a week without seeing each other, unless you're, like, out of the country, you know, like, I feel like if you're in school or something and the weekend comes up, like, go see your significant other, you know, like.
Yeah, if you're within driving distance or, like,
if it's like, let's say, a 6-hour drive, one drives 3, the other one drives 3. Try to meet in the middle, or just, you know, do, like, weekend trips, and then, like, that you guys, you know, could keep the relationship alive, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm going from when I was in, like, high school.
Yeah, so I mean, that's not really the same thing. That was a
really long time ago, but I don't know. I mean, like, it didn't work out. I didn't have a good taste of it, and then I just said I'll never do it again.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't something that really, like, you know, like, interests my like, intrigued me or something, you know? So, like...
Well, I mean, and I think if you're going into it already not a fan of it, it's not going to work. Like, clearly, obviously. You have to both be very open to the idea, very willing to work at it, to put in the effort, because it's going to be difficult. It's going to put a strain on your relationship no matter what. Like, it's just natural for that to, like, put a strain on your relationship, to not see each other for long periods of time, to be, you know, like, relegated to phone calls or FaceTimes, not being able to, like, physically, like, hold each other. Like, that's, you know, that would be hard. So I think you both have to go into it with the right headspace. If somebody has reservations or is, like, already, like, thinking badly or poorly about it, it's not going to work out, you know?
Yeah. I feel like relationships are already as like, hard in general.
Yeah.
And then adding the long distance thing with the trust, like,
yeah,
I feel like is another element to it. So
I know that there are people out there that can do it. I know that there are people that are forced to do it, that have to do it. There are people that have jobs. I mean, think about people in the military, you know? Like, there are people that do it.
Talking about that, how many times do people in the military get cheated on?
I'm not saying that they don't.
So, like, you know,
but
so
people who live together get cheated on, you know, so you can't, I mean, it goes both ways.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm saying it can work. I'm just saying, I know that we both have negative experiences in it, but, like, what I'm saying, like, from my perspective, like, for me, when I had a long distance relationship, we were already in a bad place before we started it. So, like, that clearly isn't going to help anything, you know, like, that's only going to exacerbate all of the problems and make it worse and make it easier for people to have the opportunity for things like cheating, what happened, or for bad communication, or for, you know, like, whatever. Those things aren't going to get better by being long distance.
Yeah.
But if you have, like I said, the solid foundation, and you're on the same page about things, and you keep solid communication throughout, you have goals and, like, timelines and, you know, things in place, like, I think it's possible. I don't think it's recommended. I wouldn't recommend long distance to anyone. I think if it's a last ditch effort, you know, like, if it's the very last possible scenario,
last this effort for what though? Like, if something is going already bad, like, why?
No, not to, like, save the relationship. I guess that was the wrong, like, phrase to use. Yeah, no, if you're trying it just to, like, stay together, then no, absolutely not. It's not gonna work. If you're saying, like, we should either be long distance or break up, then, like, break up, because that's not gonna work if that's, like, in your head already. But, like, if our family had no other, like, if we didn't have any other situation, if we had no other options, if we didn't have the financial, like, ability to up and move or to do whatever, and, like, you had to take a job where you were gone for a week or 2 weeks at a time, like, we would make it work. I know that we could.
Well, yeah, but now is what I was saying, but you were talking about, like, dating people. Now you're going to, like a family, I guess. So if you're in a family and that's the case, that you have to, like, go work somewhere, you're going over there with a goal. If you're planning on moving, obviously, and you've never been to this area before, like, we have a friend that they were planning to move down here, and he came down here, got the job, then, like found a steady place for them to come to. And he brought his family down. I know a couple of people that have done that. But you go in there with a goal. It's not like you just randomly wanting to pick up and go across the country just for the heck of it, and then, and then having to commute back and forth or something, like that. Like, I don't think that's gonna work.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, if you're dating somebody and that person does decide to leave, and then you decide to follow them, 90% of the time, that's just not gonna work out. I've seen it happen plenty of times. I mean, it works sometimes, but I feel like 95% of the times that doesn't work. It takes a lot for somebody to just follow somebody somewhere else, and then that works, because obviously that person is leaving because they want to. Two, you just going because they ask you to go. It's not like you remember, you're leaving everything behind at that point. You're leaving your family, you're leaving your job, you're leaving your friends, and that takes a lot for somebody to leave behind, and for you to find new friends. Like, it's hard for you to find new friends that at a new place, especially when you don't know nowhere, and then you have to get a job that you really didn't want just to try to get by until you find something else. So starting over is definitely hard, and it's a lot harder when the relationship is not going okay and you have to move across the country, I guess, or anywhere, to follow the other person.
Yep, I've also done that, and it didn't work. And it's for a lot of the reasons like you're saying, like, you decide to follow this person, you're giving up your job, your friends, your community, your family, your like life essentially to be with this person. I don't think it's completely impossible for that situation to work. Like you said, 95% of the time it's not going to.
Yeah.
If you're doing it just to save the relationship, if you're doing it like you said, as like a last ditch effort to keep from breaking up, it's not going to work. If you're making that decision together as a healthy couple, if one of you gets this, amazing opportunity somewhere, or, you want to move your relationship together somewhere and start over fresh, that's different.
If Alex gets a job that I become a stay-at-home dad, let's go. We're moving. If
I'm a sugar mama all of a sudden.
Hell yeah. Making like $500,000 a year.
Woo, yeah, okay.
Girl,
if I'm making $500,000, we're peace. You're coming with. Let's go.
Let's go. No questions asked. I'll stay at home, dad, and raise Layla. It's okay. That's cool.
But yeah, I think that more often than not, if it's one person leading that charge who's saying like, I want to get up and move and do this, I want to, start somewhere else or start fresh, and you're just following, that's where the problem's going to be.
Yeah.
If y'all are, finding goals together as a couple and, working towards something together, and that involves moving or doing something, that's one thing. But yeah, if basically the option is like, I'm going to follow you or we're going to break up, your answer should be break up.
Because sometimes what ends up happening is you move with that person over there. You guys start having arguments. You feel like you've done so much just by picking up and leaving. And then that person doesn't appreciate it, and they don't see it the way you do, that you just left your family, you left your job. Pretty much you left your whole life behind. And then like you feel unappreciated, and then you start, having resentment because that person is treating you like trash, and then you're like, damn, I did all of this for this person and they don't see it, and they're still treating me like crap. Like, why did I even come over here? So 95% of the time you're gonna end up moving back.
You're also gonna feel isolated. It's tough. I've been there. You're gonna feel
stuck a little bit
alone.
Too.
Like you're not gonna have friends. It's gonna take time for you to like build a new community, like a new group of friends, and a lot of times, if you are having issues in your relationship, you're not going to want to tell people that, especially
people you haven't even known for more than a month or something, what I mean?
Not even that, you're saying new people, you don't want to tell that, but I'm saying from experience, you don't necessarily want to admit to your friends and family that I moved, I gave up my life because I'm a hopeless romantic and I wanted this to work, and I thought that we could do this. And now you're having issues, and you're having, you don't want to tell your friends and family from, hours away or from states away or whatever it is, that y'all are not in a good place, and like that's hard. It can be embarrassing, it can be difficult, like, but then if you're not telling anyone, if you have no one to turn to, like, then it becomes extremely lonely and isolating. And if the only person you have to lean on is the person that you moved for, is the person that you're like having issues and like tough times with, like that can be really difficult, you know? That's tough.
It definitely makes everything a lot harder. So go ahead.
Our wrap up with it is that it's not completely impossible, but we don't recommend it.
We don't recommend it.
Yeah, I think that it takes a very specific type of couple and very like healthy, driven people for that to work for. I think you'd have to be already pretty far into your relationship. I think you'd have to have similar like communication styles, you know, like very similar goals and effort, you know, put in from both sides. Like I think it, you know, I think it could happen, but the majority of the time it's not going to.
Yeah, so try to avoid it if you can.
Yeah. And if it's becoming an issue or it might come up or it's a possibility, think about these things, you know, like go through them in your head, go through them with your partner if you need to. Like it's better to have these discussions now before.
It's never too late, but versus later, you know, when it could be a lot worse.
Don't delay the breakup just because you want to try it long distance.
Yeah. Long distance is not going to fix you. Long distance is not going to make things better.
Yeah, it's only going to...
It's just going to enable them to cheat on you, for you to be thinking about, you know, what they're doing all the time. And if for who, you know, either guy or girl, you know, like you spend a lot of time doing that crap. When that happens, you just like, oh, what are they doing? They're not replying to my text, who they with, you know, etc. So just to avoid all of that headache, just avoid long distance relationship. That's it, plain and simple.
Just don't do it.
It doesn't work.